Good evening and welcome back to the Celtic Unrestricted View. I'm Giant P and I'm flying solo this evening. My two good men who are normally on this podcast with me, Ryan, he's on the day job, and our good man, Mr. Alan, he is in East End Community Radio. So yeah, I'm on my Todd. But it is Monday. We roll on. The show must go on, as they say. And it is the Dial in, talk to Tim's from your 8:30 Monday evenings. Aye, so how is everybody? Let me know in the comments. Let me know how you all are. Hope everybody's well. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And yeah, let us know how you're all doing, what you're up to, anything special, anything exciting, anything at all. And we are, we're looking forward to the chat. Got some callers in tonight as well. They'll be on a little later on. What's everybody been up to? Start with some comments. Got them flying in early doors. And Jem, good evening, JP and the chat. Anyone else who listened in, I think the volume in Alan's mic was turned down on the radio tonight. You could barely hear him speak. I possibly could be a good thing. We're fed up hearing him talk on here, so that's how we've sent him down the other night to let somebody else hear him talking. I'm only kidding. I was listening in myself for a bit there before I came on live, and I've got to say I'm thinking the same as you, and I think his microphone was turned down. Wee Willie Collins on tonight. Hail, troops. Willie, what's happening? Yous have created a shitstorm all over the media over the weekend, mate, with us Mr. Excuses giving it loudly about penalties, and this pure disrespectful, man. Like, just be humble and, respect your opponent. Don't just come out and, give us a load of snash about penalties that should have been get. I mean, this is a thing that's been over the last few weeks. We go back to the cup final as well. This has been a thing that's, it's been ongoing. But I find the whole thing bizarre with the guy. I really do, man, because he's always pointing fingers at somebody else. It's always someone else's fault. Never his own team's not good enough. Or, every time his team get beat or drop points, it's a it's, we had 5 shots at goal, they only had 4, blah, 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 but you get beat 4-0, mate, so, aye, but I hope you're well, mate. It's good to hear from you. David, how we doing? YouTube tonight, open for a still game part of the night. Last episode had me howling. It's going to be, I think it's going to be difficult. I'll try and see if I can do my best for you. I think it might be difficult to do this myself. Ryan, how you doing, pal? Nice for you to join us. Frank Kennedy, straight in the comments. Seriously, troops, good result yesterday. Not the best performance, but 3 points is all that matters. Minus 13, 119. Yeah, obviously we'll come to this. I really do. I'm obviously going to have a chat about this tonight in terms of, what people might be seeing. Because, it's... Some of it's quite bizarre, in my opinion. Ryan T, it's chilly. That is, mate. Nice photo as well. Nice wee memory there of Mr. Dreadlocks and Henrik Larsson. Superb, mate. Leo Porter, evening, lads. Wrap up. It's minus 13 out there. Soon to be singing champions. Yes, I thought that said signing, mate. I thought you were getting me excited there. I thought you were going to message us about Kane Tierney. Matt McDonald, hail, JP and the chat. Eminem on tonight as well. Even boys, Brennan certainly has got the fans' heckles up. We'll come to that as well. I've got some audio tonight for it as well. Stevie boy, how we doing? Good evening, JP, Ryan. In the chat room, hail. Yep. Yeah, definitely. If you are new to the channel and you've somehow just managed to come across us, please hit a like and subscribe, because it's totally free and it allows you to come and join our fantastic family. These kind of nights, give you a chance to come on and actually have a chat with us as well, as you are going to witness tonight. We've got 2 callers on tonight as well. So, yeah, these kind of nights are pretty good for Celtic fans, I think, to come on and give us their views on what they think's going with Celtic, how things are going, and all that jazz. John Shirley, good evening, pal. He said, "Oh, come on, JP, that means you're alone. Going to take all our powers. Be aware then, JP." John, it doesn't matter, mate. It doesn't bother. I can take his own. It doesn't bother me. I'm usually quite friendly when the boys are here, but when I'm needed to step up to the plate, don't you worry, mate. I'm well and capable. James Kennedy as well. Evening, JP. Good evening, James. Hope you're well, pal. Hope you had a nice weekend. Vincent O'Brien, hail from Dublin. Hail, mate. It's good to join in. Thank you very much. P. McLaughlin, hail to yourself also. Nice wee photo there. The Rangers title challenge for the 2nd to the 5th of January 2025. I got that 40 sent to me earlier as well. Amazing. G-Doc, how we doing? Hope you had a nice weekend, pal. Good to see you on tonight. Thank you for your comment. Chris Murray as well. Good evening, mate. How you doing? Hope you're well. Hope you had a nice weekend as well. And I hope everybody else that's joining in with us had a very good weekend. Andy, how you doing, mate? Good to see you, pal. Lindsay Greenwood, how you doing? Evening, JP and the Celtic family. Hail. Evening, Angie as well. I think you two have got a wee hanging on here. Because it's every time we Rowan used to start chatting to one another privately in a chat. What's going on here? There you go. There's a wee reply. Evening, Lindsay. So I think obviously these two must be best of pals and we don't know. Need to talk to the boys about that one. George, straight in, mate. Welsh and Bernaby is out the door. Well, and Jem, I'm going to have to say that I disagree with you there because this is our channel, so it's got everything to do with us if it's live on here, I'm afraid. So don't you worry about that, pal. We'll be making our business to find out. I'm like wee Isa half still game. There you go, David, if you're still watching, mate. I have to know, as Isa would say. I have to know. So there you go. I knew I would be able to drop in a still game quote for you there, David, so don't you worry about that, pal. Getting back to the none of your business, not none of your business. We've done that. Welsh and Bernaby's out the door. Yep, George, they are. What about a business that is for Celtic in terms of Bernaby? Tell you what, by the way, we need to hang my hat on the door here somewhere because to whoever's negotiating the deals when our players making exits. You know, we got 2 million, just over 2 million, I think it was, for David Turnbull. We got I think it was a belter of a deal for Big O as well. So these are guys that weren't in, they weren't in the Celtic team. I know David Turnbull played more games than probably any of the guys, but these are guys that then somehow managed to fall surplus to requirements with the squad, and they kind of fall by the wayside. So what happens there is our magnificent team managed to negotiate really good deals when they're leaving. I just hope they've got a belter up their sleeve when Ben Dokes is going to be sold on from Liverpool with the extravagant amount of money that they're talking about for this lad, because I think it was a couple of days ago, was it 3 days ago, they knocked back something like 16 million quid for Ben Doak. Yeah. As I said when I started tonight, folks, I'm going to play some audio stuff just now, and you can give me your thoughts, right? Now, obviously, this has created what I would say is a big stir, and it seems to have dominated a lot of headlines. Me personally, I don't think there's... I think this full... And for anybody that's not watched the interview, the full media post-match presser is on YouTube for anybody to go and see. It's about 14.5 minute long by Brendan Rodgers. And basically, these audios that I'm about to play for you, I'm just going to do it one after another and get it over and done with, and then that way I can get my callers in tonight as well. I personally feel this isn't all just on yesterday's game. So don't just jump in with your comments, give me a chance as well, because obviously I'm going to give a bit of mindset of what I'm thinking in terms of why things were said and when they were said. But in my opinion, folks, I think this is box office Brendan. I really, really do. And I think he said a lot of things that's been needing to be said for a while, not just yesterday or what happened on Thursday. But I do believe some of this, or a good bit of this, is what I would call overspill. And it's now, it's now got to a point where, it's been obviously an annoyance to him, which is why he's had to clear the air. So we'll get some of the audios played, and then I'll bring in my callers. I'm going to play this first one. It's basically Brendan talking about the performance from yesterday. Here he's here.
Performance very good. Everything that we'd want. Big efforts. Good concentration. Very good goals. Creative. So yeah, very pleased.
Was it the kind of reaction that you wanted to see after the defeat at Ibrox a few days ago?
Yeah, I think everyone that's watched us over the last, in particular, 12 months wouldn't have recognised us at Ibrox, and like I said, there was some probably immeasurable reasons as to why, maybe because you're 14 points ahead or whatever, but we weren't up for the demands of the game, which is what normally this team is. So we got punished for that. So then it's then about the response, and the response today was really, really good against a team that we've seen all season. It's well coached, well managed, and make it really, really difficult for teams. So for us to play and then have that level of comfort in the game, but not feeling the comfort, wanting to keep pouring forward, to get that was really pleasing.
Yeah, so that was Brendan basically talking about what he saw yesterday in terms of the performance. We comment there for Big Rab. Hail, big man. Totally agree with Rodgers on this. I've been saying a lot of the same for ages now. Yeah, you have, mate. You've been banging on about even Greg Taylor and things that obviously Rodgers goes on to mention in that audio. Listen, I don't think many of us can argue with him. I think the performance level was very good yesterday. I thought we played some good stuff. I thought we played with a good tempo. A lot of people maybe don't agree with that, and they've seen that, and I agree with Rodgers on the next bit he comes to. But what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to bring in, so I think it's always better to get a live opinion of, a fan or someone else that, you're chatting with, and obviously have somebody here. So I'm on that wee bit, and I hope he was watching. I'm going to get my first caller on tonight, and we'll get his opinion. What's your thoughts, guys, on the interview on that small audio there that I played, in terms of the way? Are you all happy with the way the team responded? Are you happy with, the way we went about our business yesterday, and how we dealt with that situation? Also, by the way, how we dealt with a power cut at Celtic Park. I nearly shit myself yesterday. I can only imagine how the players must have felt. The lights just went out at Celtic Park, and then the emergency generator, I think, kicked in and switched everything back on, including the VAR as well. So, yeah, that was an experience on its own. I don't think that's been mentioned in any sort of forum, but yeah. James, a wee comment there. Brendan is still angry after the Rangers game. I don't think that's the case, James. I think a lot of what he said, some of it will be, mate. You're 100% right there, but I don't think the majority of it will be, if that makes sense. I think some of this is, like I say, it's been overspill, but it's been coming for a while. This isn't something that Brendan just woke up yesterday morning and thought, I'm going to say this after the game. If that makes sense, he's been wanting to do this for a while, you know. I really think that some of what he said also needed to be said, if that makes sense. Yeah, but we'll just need to see what happens. But I think personally, James, I really do think that, you know, yeah. Big Dom, he says, I thought we might struggle in terms of the game itself. Do you mean the St Mirren tie? I'm assuming you're meaning there, mate. Yeah, listen, I think a lot of people might have thought that we were going to, you know, maybe struggle going into the game, and but I've got to be with Brendan. I've watched Celtic long enough now. You've got to trust the guys, man. You've got to know that these guys are, you know, they're winners, man. They're serial winners, and I've always said it, folks. This is why, you know, the mindset and the surrounding mindset of this club. This is why we are where we are. You know, you look at the COVID season, we lost to 10, and they go on and win the league, and we bounced back the season after. Why? Because of the way the club's run, because of the way we operate, because of the winning mentality of the club, because of the infrastructure, and because of the people that run the club. All that is a combination as to why we bounce back the season after. Not to mention as well, because of the model, the transfer, the recruitment model, and everything, the way we operate, we can attract managers like Brendan Rodgers. We attracted Ange Postecoglou when no other team had possibly heard of him other than Anderlecht, because they were the only other club that made a move for him to bring him to this side of Europe. He was over in Japan before then. Cast your mind back to the Eddie Howe. You know, in my opinion, he's a top Premier League coach. He's done well with Bournemouth, worked his way through there. A lot lesser budget than what he's getting now. And yeah, I really think that he's done well with Newcastle. By the way, he's got one hand tied behind his back with Newcastle as well. And a lot of Celtic fans doubted him at the time as well. But that's the kind of profile of manager that Celtic can go and look at and even have conversations with and come to dinner parties with and do all that. And that's the reason. It's because the way we operate. It's time now for my first caller. And here he is, Mr. Francis Lester. Good evening, Francis. How are you, mate?
Evening, mate. I'm good, JP. How are you, son?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah. You have a nice weekend?
Did, yeah. Especially the result yesterday. I thought we played some really nice stuff yesterday. I mean, maybe the first 20, 25 minutes was a wee bit stodgy, but we played some, our passing was good, and we scored some good goals, and I was really happy with the way we came back, especially after Thursday. You know, so I was pretty pleased with it all, you know.
When you mentioned there about the stodgy 20, 25 minutes, whatever it may be, at any point of that time, Francis, I'm assuming you were at the game yesterday, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you in any way worried at all about which way the game was going to go?
No, I'm always, it doesn't matter if we score in the first minute or score in the last minute. At the end of the day, as long as you win the game, that's all that matters to me.
Yeah.
I think I said a couple of weeks ago when I was on, the last time I was on, that we've got a lot of fans that have been brought up in total success, no used to no winning a game, and they don't know how to cope with it when we don't win, you know, and they go into this mad freak mode, you know what I mean, as if that's a disgrace, you know, it's not acceptable, and that.
Yeah,
they're human beings. I mean, you can turn up, we can all be annoyed, you know what I mean, the performances, and we can all dig out certain players and have an opinion on these players. But I'll tell you what, one thing, in all the years I've been watching Celtic, I'll never boo a Celtic player when he's got that jersey on and he's playing on the park for the team. Whether he's having a mare or no, you can have an opinion about it, but you don't boo them. You don't. I mean, what's that going to do to their their confidence. Is that going to make them play better because you're booing everything they do?
Yeah.
You know, I just think it's too many snowflake fans that are just they've never been used to losing the games or us dropping points, and when we drop points, it's an absolute calamity. It's bollocks, in my opinion. Excuse the language. I get really annoyed about it. You know, I mean,
I feel similar to you because I was sitting there quite frustrated yesterday when I was hearing. I mean, it wasn't even booing. It was more jeers and people. They were doing it in unison in the way they were doing it, but it was a kind of big sigh around the stands every time Celtic were trying to cycle the ball and go, you know.
See, to tell you the truth, JP, I never heard that.
You could.
Either that or I just didn't pick up on it, you know. I really didn't.
You could hear it. I mean, obviously, I sit over
You're at the opposite side
and,
for me, where I sit. I'm in the main stand, and you're.
The majority of it was coming, but it sounded like up behind me, in the stand that I was in. So it was just, I don't know. There was no point of yesterday's game. Did you feel that? I know there's some comments coming in saying they thought the game would have been harder. Now that's natural because I said on Friday, when it was myself and Ryan on, that Stephen Robinson always has his teams really hard to beat. They are, you know, always robust. They've got big physical lads. I thought Austin Trusty was absolutely amazing yesterday with the lad Olasanya. I actually quite like the lad Olasanya. I think he's got great pace. He's got a good physicality and he's got a nice touch. You watched him against Rangers. He caused them all sorts of problems.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the first time he's done that to him as well. He done that to him at Ibrox last season when I thought they got away with one in terms of they should have went down to 10 men and he was pulled down. He was the last man. I think he scored as well and it got pulled back for a foul that had happened that shouldn't have happened in terms of, because Wally Collum in the VAR said, no, that should have been a goal there, and it was too late obviously because the St Mirren, they lost out. But I quite like Stephen Robinson. I think he's done a great job with the two teams in the Scottish Premier League he's been with now, Motherwell and St Mirren. But yesterday, Francis, when I saw the Celtic team, I never looked at it and went, we're in trouble today. When I saw Trusty coming in and Scales getting out, I thought to myself, right, maybe Big Trusty's over the virus, or, you know, Scales didn't particularly do very well, and he was one of the ones that done even worse when he made that mistake at Ibrox at the weekend. I keep going to say the weekend, on Thursday. And then you've got Rio Watati, who was the same. He made one error, and he just kind of that stumbled onto more errors in the actual game. Now, I know the rest of the team made errors, but those two guys made, you know,
I think
more
Brendan
errors than most.
I think Brendan made the right move, taking like Scales out the firing line, because he said, I was actually quite surprised he didn't sub him at half time against Rangers, because he was very poor. For me, his head went, because after he made that mistake, he passed the ball out the park 2 or 3 times. It was just, for me, his head was gone. And I thought back to the cup final, and I thought he did it in reverse. He took Trusty off. He thought, that's not working. Let's put Scales on and take Trusty off. So I was quite surprised with Brendan in that instance that he didn't, you know, take him out the firing line for his own good. You know what I mean? Not to say you're crap, get off. You know what I mean? But just to take him out the firing line, because I don't think he wasn't coping with it very well. You know what I mean? And I think it was the right decision to bring Trusty back in yesterday, because again, when you're coming back to the home crowd, if Scales had come out, you know what they're like. He makes a couple of mistakes and they'd have been firing straight onto his back. So I think he did the right thing, bringing Big Trusty back in yesterday. So that was a good move for me. I was impressed with Trusty yesterday. I thought he'd done really well. He played well. You know what I mean? But I only looking at the starting 11, I was still kind of. I still would rather have Kyogo up front than Ida. That's just a personal preference for me. I just think in that sort of game where we're probably going to have the majority of the ball and be attacking, I think Kyogo gives you a bit more pace and speed. And I know Ida needs to get game time to get up to that level, but for me, I don't think Brendan trusts him enough to give him that amount of time. I know I mean, I thought Kyogo was unlucky. That goal he scored at Ibrox, it was disallowed for the offside. It was a fantastic finish.
That was a peach,
So
yeah.
I was still in. He'd scored the 2 goals previous to that
Mhm.
against St John at the St Johnson game. Scored 2 good goals, you know what I mean? Predator goals. So for me, the wee man's eye was getting back in again. So I was kind of surprised that he dropped Kyogo, to tell you the truth. But that was my only gripe. I didn't have any qualms about the midfield. I must admit, I do like Luke McCowan. I just think that boy gives you plenty of energy, and I thought he was really good yesterday. I thought, for me, the best 2 players in the park were Engels and McCowan. I thought they controlled it really well. You know, I thought the 2 of them played really well yesterday. Callum getting the rest in the last game, I know, you know what I mean? I think he definitely needs a bit of a rest, because he's been doing the same as Hatate recently. He's been getting caught in possession a lot, but nobody wants to slag Callum because he's a captain and he's been so great for us, which I understand. But there's nobody that can't be criticised for not playing well. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, at some point, we're going to lose him. You know what I mean? He's going to become the older player that we're going to have to look at replacing in the long run. So I think round about this time is probably the time to start looking for his replacement. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to stay. It's not like the old days that people are going to stay here forever. You know?
Yeah.
And I just think we need to start looking towards future teams as well. You know,
I mean, I just think, obviously, coming off the back of the defeat at Ibrox and then going into yesterday's game, mate, I just think the fallout for us, everybody's talking like Celtic lost the game.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Everybody's lost inhibition to Celtic. Won 3-0 yesterday. And
I watched 2 other pods.
They're now 13 points clear. Oh, you're not allowed, by the way, you've just had to swear jar there. You're not allowed to say that on here, mate.
Right, but anyway, I did. So,
I watched other pods. You can't be doing that, mate, and coming on here. Come on.
But I don't go in the pods. I like to hear what everybody else is saying as well. And I've heard a lot of crap coming out for some of them. Some of the abuse they're getting Brendan Rodgers for coming out and sticking up for the team. I mean, Tierney, I'd love to see Tierney coming back. If he can stay fit and we get him back, I'd be delighted with that. But we shouldn't be singing the name of a player that's no playing for us. I don't care how good he was in the past and how good he could be in the future. He's not here. We don't have him.
Yeah.
I mean, at this moment in time, it's all hearsay and all conjecture. We don't know if he's coming back. I certainly don't know, and I've not heard anything for definite that he's coming back. I keep hearing all these stories, but I don't see nothing concrete. And when I've heard Brendan talking about him, he's no convinced me that that it's going to happen either. So for
he's not giving too much away, is he?
No, but I mean, to be screaming and shouting about what he said yesterday, for me, is I just don't think it's right. I don't think you should be singing the name of a player that's no playing for us. You know
listen, I totally get where you're coming from, because I'm in agreement with Brendan Rodgers. I think I get Brendan's point. A lot of the fans are missing where Brendan's coming from when he's saying it. A lot of the fans are now saying that he's, he said the wrong thing, and he needs to. I've read today that people saying that, he's really set the cat amongst the pigeons. Well, he's not really, because he said things that's needed to be said for a while. In my opinion, he said, the fans singing about Kieran Tierney, they're only doing that because they think he's going to return to the club in this January window. I've seen today that people going, but they sing about Larson, they sing about but that's different. Tommy Burns and Larson are not re-signing with the club.
That's history for years and years ago. That's totally different.
Tommy Burns and Henrik Larsson are not ready to, or potentially ready to
come back.
I'm going to give you my opinion, Francis. I do think Kieran Tierney will sign for Celtic again. I really do think he's coming back in this January window.
I hope so.
From what, this is an informed opinion, from what I've been told, the deal's practically done, and I think you could even see movement on that this week at some point. But I'm with you. He's currently not with the team. And there's a guy busting his ass on the pitch right now. Talking about yesterday. By the way, this is a crazy Looney Tunes thing I've heard and all. So apparently Greg Taylor's in the wrong for just disappearing up the tunnel. If anybody watched that game yesterday, he took a bang to the face and he's got a potential broken nose.
That's right.
Medical attention. He needed to go and get it looked at. So anybody thinking that Greg Taylor was disrespectful or anything else, you need to go and look at the situation again. You need to go and have a look at that incident. That big lad, the Irish fella, Phillips, caught him with an arm.
Yeah.
And by the way, Greg Taylor could have very easily dropped to the floor and rolled about and do all that stuff you see foreign players sometimes doing. You know, like the man that was at Rangers on loan last season, Silva. Greg Taylor played on, and he gave his all again to play on and continue in that game to finish off the game. Now, I can understand where Brendan Rodgers is coming from, because Brendan Rodgers is not saying, don't sing for Kieran Tierney. That's not what he's saying. Brendan Rodgers is saying, in the moment, meaning just now, have a bit of respect, because Kieran Tierney isn't with Celtic. There's a guy on the field just now giving his all, and you don't sing about him.
I know.
You're singing about a guy that's not there. Anybody at all watching this and anybody listening, put yourself in Greg Taylor's position for just a second and think about how that must have came across to Greg Taylor. Nobody is thinking like that, Francis. Nobody's even given that a thought. It's about Greg Taylor. It's not about... People are excited. I can understand that people are excited about Kieran Tierney, and I mean, I love him. I think he's world class. I really do. If he comes back, magic. Tremendous. I think he's better than Andy Robertson. I've said it on this podcast numerous of times. But Kieran Tierney's not a Celtic player as yet. Greg Taylor is.
I know.
And as Rodgers says, that's like me standing on the sidelines and I'm singing about another manager that's not here.
Definitely. I mean, as I say, we can all have opinions in it, and I've said it in the past that Taylor has been, for me. I've been saying he's not signing a contract, so he shouldn't be getting a game. We should be playing the boy Vi. We're paid all that money for him. You know what I mean? And that's just my opinion. But while Taylor is in the team, I'm not going to take my opinion and turn it on him and start slagging him and booing him. I still want him to do as well as he can do for Celtic while he's playing for us. Like I do for every team. The big skills, I know. I mean, I've slagged him to death in the past as well. Like, most Celtic fans have when he's made a blunder, made mistakes. But at the end of the day, I still wouldn't boo the boy. I wouldn't boo him and you know what I mean, in game abuse for making a pass back the way, or you know, passing the ball the way that most fans don't want us to go. I want us to attack all the time as well, but it's not. It just doesn't happen that way. You can't go and win every game 4-0, 5-0, play flooding forward. I know we'd love that, and we'd all love that, but it just doesn't happen. There's certain teams come out and play a different style that stop us playing that way. You know what I mean? We've seen how many teams come to Celtic Park and sit in, and it's really hard to break down. You can't bust when you're going to play that kind of football that we want us to play, like flooding down the wings. That's all right if the opposing team is sitting on narrow in the middle of the park and the wings are free. But they don't. Do you know what I mean? They've got two banks of four in front of the defence. You know what I mean? They just sit there. Could be a bank of five and a bank of four. It's really hard to break that down. You know, it doesn't matter how good you believe that team are. How many times in the past have you seen us dropping points to teams that you would consider totally inferior to us? And looking at the budgets, they're nowhere near the amount of money we can. That doesn't make one bit of change to the game on that particular day. If you stand in the middle of the park and not have any football talent at all, but you can stop another player expressing his talent by getting in front of him and kicking him and bringing him down and barging him out the park. That's just a fact of life. But as I say, there's too many fans, as I say, as soon as we don't play at that level all the time or we drop a point, they just freak out. You know what I mean? I've been through the years, I watched Celtic when Rangers were winning 9 in a row and we were winning nothing. I'm going to games every day. I went to Parkhead when there was like 12,000 there and 13,000 and stood and still supported the team. You know what I mean? I remember it days, mate. These guys nowadays, all they've known is just complete success. Complete success. Lost the odd game and they all freak out about it. And they think if you know it shouldn't happen. It will happen. Yeah, it seems to happen. But the time the team need the support the most is when we're not playing well. As Brendan said, it's easy to clap and sing and jump up and down when you're winning
Yeah.
3 and 4-0. It's when you're no
Oh,
winning.
yeah, no. You can't
that
just
you
sing
need-
when you're winning and
you need the
you
team
know,
behind you. You need
yeah,
you need
100%,
egged on
yeah.
by the support. That's
Yeah.
why they call them the 12 man. What happened to faithful through and through? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And some of these you would never believe they've ever heard the song. You know what I mean?
Mhm. So, Francis, obviously your next point before I let you go, touching on the run of games that we're on just now, you think that that's a big culminating factor that, you know, why intensity levels aren't able to stay at the max? Because I mean, we're playing every 3 days. At the beginning of the season, you're playing once a week, and then the Champions League comes along, and then you start to play more football. But now we're playing every 3 days. So
Exactly. See, the level that the football players nowadays, it's way, way different from it was back when I first started watching Celtic. The fitness levels of they're athletes now. They're really athletes. I mean, back in the day, you play players like wee Jinky and all them, you know what I mean? Even on the other side of the city, you had players like Jim Baxter, who was a fantastic football player for Rangers. He was a mad bevy merchant. He'd win a game, and him and Jinky would go out for a swally after the game, you know what I mean? And they still turned it on every week. But the levels of fitness are nowhere near today's professional players.
no,
And you cannot keep that level up, in my opinion. I'm no, a fitness fanatic. I don't know that much about it, but I know
you're not a sports scientist, so you know
I'm not a sports scientist.
You're not Big Clement phoning you soon and asking you what's next.
No, I'm no sports scientist, but I know that it's nigh on impossible to keep that level up every 3 days, because in between times they're training as well. You forget they're training, and the training's, I believe the training's quite intensive, and they've got their lives to lead outside of football. They are things. I mean, so to have that level of intensity every single 90 minutes and play to that level every single 90 minutes, it's not going to happen. I believe we're good enough to win the majority of the games.
Yeah.
And we're better than every other team in the league. I still believe it, and I still will go on and win the league, no bother. But we're not going to win it. We're not going to win every game 3-4-0, and everything's going to be rosy in the garden. You're going to come up. You're going to come one night, now winter night in January, or down to somewhere. Even we've got to go down to, when you have to go down to places like Kilmarnock and the piss and rain on that stupid surface again. They kind of games are. There's no. It doesn't matter how much quality you've got. You can still come unstuck in these kind of games. You know what I mean? And the fans need to start realising that and get behind the team when they're getting it together on the day.
100%, mate. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your views, mate.
No bother, mate. I've been dying with the cold the last couple of days. I've not been feeling that great.
That is that time of the year, mate. It's the winter. I think a lot of people
didn't hear with the cough. It's ready to put the cough sweetie in my mouth to try and because I'm dying.
I'll let you go, and you can do that very thing, mate.
Right,
stick
mate.
that cough sweetie in your mouth. So you take care, mate, and I will catch you again.
No bother, mate. Nice to talk to you again.
Cheers, Francis. Same to you, mate. Bye-bye, mate. Hail, mate. Thank you to Francis for your thoughts and coming on and joining us. Looks as if he was in his deathbed there. Aye, thanks very much. I know a lot of you are commenting in and stuff. I'm sorry I can't get to your comments. As I said, I'm on my own tonight, so you just need to bear with me. I'm going to get my next caller on. It is a one indeed. John M. Good evening. How are you doing?
Evening, JP.
How are you?
Not too bad, son. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Good weekend?
Yeah. A bit like Francis, dying with cold.
Oh, dearie me. Must be something in the water. I'm not drinking water for a while then. I say I've got that. So what brings you on this evening? What's your thoughts? Have you managed to, I take it you're well aware of, or a charade that's now came on in the fallout for yesterday's match, and obviously Brendan having his wee
outburst.
Rant, should I say? Yeah. I don't think it's an outburst. Me personally, I think it's just it's been overspill from a period of time that he's obviously yesterday. He's used that as his platform to unleash.
Probably. I mean, after the defeat at Ibrox, I think and a certain section of the Celtic support, we probably know what section that was. singing Kieran Tierney's name, and you know what I think he was more angered that them singing that, and we still had Greg Taylor on the park.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And Kieran Tierney's no actually. I mean, we know there's rumours signing, he's coming back. He probably will come back, but until you see him waving a scarf or holding up a shirt or something, then he's no back yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
So I think maybe Brendan, to be honest, I think he was in his right there. He's protecting his own player. And I think it got to him more than anything else with him singing that name and him still being, and Greg being on the park. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're 100% correct. I don't really, I don't really see any issue with what you said about Greg Taylor. I do have some audios. I'm going to play once, obviously, I'm finished talking to yourself, John, in case any of the viewers or anybody that's watching us hasn't managed to hear it and hasn't picked up on what we're even saying. But yeah, I don't see. I put it down to just being box office Brendan, and I've watched the full presser, and he never lost it. I mean, Clyde One put out a video. It was like a short video of him speaking,
right?
And they kind of done it in a way that they've tried to portray it as if Brendan's losing the plot.
No, well, I watched the. Well, he actually sent me his press conference in the is that for Celtic TV? I don't know.
It's the Celtic. It was on the Celtic YouTube channel.
And I agreed. But when I watched it, I didn't think it was not so much anger. I think a lot of it made sense. You know what I mean?
It made sense.
When he's talking about, it's all right to cheer the team when we're 1-3, 4, 5-0, and then we boo. We play the ball backwards, and there's sections of the fans are booing because we're, and he's talking about it's another way of making another play and blah blah blah. I get all that, you know what I mean? I get all that, and I get Brendan's frustrations, you know what I mean? Because we're sitting in the stand listening to a lot of the boos and sitting in the stand and watching the game. He's standing at the touchline and he's doing the same. Do you know what I mean? But he he's a manager, so he's allowed to be really angry. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this is what I've said today to a few people. People are saying that Brendan shouldn't have, keep your mouth shut. You're not allowed to say it. Well, sorry, it doesn't work like that. If people, one guy called it a democracy. Well, if it's a democracy, then the fans can't have a say about this. And Brendan's not allowed to say anything. He's just to sit there quiet. That's not how it works.
I mean, I know the fans have got every right to have their say. I mean, they pay their money, they have their say. But he's a man running the show.
They then can't just stand in a glass house and expect Brendan just to stay quiet and not reply with anything at all. So, and that I've seen a lot of the section of fans today. That seems to be what the case is. The fans want to say what they need to say, but they don't want to hear it back from anyone at the club, which is it's not how the real world works, I'm afraid.
No, it's no. And I mean, Brendan's a man who gets paid the big bucks to run the club. I mean, he's running the football side of it. So we as fans, I mean, I admire Brendan. I mean, he's a brilliant manager. You know what I mean? And what he's achieved with Celtic over the last couple of seasons. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how can you be critical of the man at all? And I do believe he's got a right to come out and say what he wants to say. I really do that, regardless of if sections of the Celtic fans think it's wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
100%. No, that's it.
He's entitled to his opinion as well. You know
I don't think in any walk of life anyone's, you can't start pointing fingers and say, well, you're not allowed to say that, and you're not allowed to say that. It's just like,
no.
People might be in that chat tonight, they don't agree with what I'm saying, which is totally fine. Absolutely fine. And by the way, I'm fine with that as well. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for thinking I'm wrong, and I wouldn't expect it the other way about. So, moving on, obviously, to Celtic as a whole, were you happy to see Celtic bouncing back from? I mean, I've heard people calling this a mini slump. They've lost one game this season. How can you call that a mini slump?
I don't think it's a mini slump, you know. I mean, look at the run of games they've had. You know what I mean? All right, he's chopped and changed the team a few times. But, I mean, the number of fixtures that they've went through, you know what I mean? Okay, well, we slip up against Dundee United at Tannadice. We didn't lose the game, but obviously we didn't win it. We should have won it with a couple of real good chances. But the Debt Dome game was just, for me, I mean, I hope nobody is annoyed or angry at me calling it the Debt Dome. That's just me. Do you know what I mean?
I think we all
personally, when I was watching the game,
meaning.
personally, when I was watching the game, I thought the players had been out for the new year and had a right good swally. Do you know what I mean? That's just me personally. But they just seemed disjointed completely. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was. I mean, we've been there before without any fans, and we've scalped them. You know what I mean? So I don't think it was anything to do with that. I think you know, it could have been. You know, I can't put my finger on it, to be honest. But they just didn't turn up. It was a bad day at the office for me.
Yeah, no, listen, it was I said it on here and never shied away from that. You know, it was a real bad day at the office for us. I mean, how often, folks, do we see the full Celtic squad not playing well, or someone? You know, it's always maybe individuals, or you know, they can be subbed off, and even the subs never even impacted the game. No. This is the thing as well. The full team was just well off. Yeah, I understand football and understand the way it works, right? I know there's a lot of factors in why that could be the case. A lot of people are saying there's something going on. Can't be anything going on. We were getting into that game, 2 games before it, we won 4-0 back-to-back, Celtic Park. We then won 3-0 yesterday. But, yeah, so, you know, they are allowed a bad game from time to time. It just unfortunately, it was a derby. But what I'm going to say, what I would say now, it now means nothing because of the now after results that have came after that game. You look at the Rangers scores from Easter Road. You then look at our score yesterday. The game means hee-haw. Other than they've gained a point now. I mean that's where we are. This Celtic team have been that consistent, folks, that we have only lost 1 game this season. They only lost 2 games in the full calendar year of 2024. In my opinion, John, I think the outcry from Thursday has been a lot more than probably what it deserved. I know it was a derby. I know it was a big game for the fans, and there was no Celtic fans in either. But the key word there, it is a derby. It was a derby, and we were away from home. Anybody that thinks that Celtic can go into every derby and just blow the team out the water, then I'm afraid that's not how it works. That's not how football works.
No, I wouldn't say so. I just think, you know, out all the games that they had played, and, you know, it's just caught up with them. I think it just really caught up with them, and they just couldn't get any fluency. They couldn't get any fluency in their play, and they just disjointed a bit. You know what I mean? And they just, maybe that was down to the Sevco, maybe, you know, shutting down here, shutting down there, shutting down there. But I mean, Johnson couldn't get it going. McGregor was non-existent in the midfield. Hatate kept getting the ball away. Just for me, it was just one of the games you say to yourself, now, let's just, you know, draw a line under it and move on. You know what I mean? Because you know, it never happened on the day. But you know, Kyogo's goal, all right. When you look back on it, it was offside. But what a goal! a peach
That
of
was
a
a
goal.
great finish. It was. It
And I
was a
think if
peach
I
of
was
finish.
allowed, I think if the wee man had, kept his run a bit earlier and that would have changed the game. I think that would have
Yeah,
completely
I mean
changed
that's
the
a sliding doors moment, isn't it? It's
It is indeed. Aye.
it's a different outcome possibly, and Celtic maybe gain momentum in the game then afterwards, and
Of course.
but yeah, as I say, it's But moving forward, John, obviously before I let you go, what now are you looking to see for this Celtic team? Because like I said to Francis, we are playing every 3 days and the games are coming thick and fast.
Well, I think maybe to get ourselves back on track to where we know they are, you know what I mean? Meaningly in the games and stuff. Again, they're United on Wednesday night. I think they'll win that game. And going forward after that, is there Champions League games coming up soon?
Yeah, well, obviously we've got this month. We've got both young boys at Celtic Park and then Aston Villa. We need to complete this phase of the Champions League. Yeah,
but I think after the game yesterday, I think they've put that the game at the death zone behind them, and I just think they'll get themselves back on track, and it's onwards and upwards for me with them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Another treble in the bag, I think.
Well, that's a big shout as well, isn't it?
That's just me. That's just
no, 100%. Listen, everybody's entitled to think what they want. Some have even said that 2's already done. And all we've got left now is the Scottish Cup to go for. And
well, this is
there's still a lot of football to be played. Certainly,
there's still a lot of football to be played between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
and I still think. And I've said it to you many a time, I still think we'll do the treble this year.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks very much for coming on and giving us your thoughts again. Not a problem.
And I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon. I'll catch up with you later. Hail. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Well, thanks very much, guys, for our callers in tonight. Much appreciated. I know some of you are probably going to say, it's the same people all the time. Well, you know what to do. If you want to come on and chat with us, contact us. Let us know. These guys contact us. They know how it works. Let us know you want to come on and we'll get you on. We'll organise a slot. We would love to extend a show like this in order to take more calls. I've said to the lads millions of times, but it's down to you guys as fans. There's lots to be said in the chat, but not a lot of people want to come on and chat with us. And that's fine. That's totally fine. But you can't on when you see the same people coming on to chat about points and things that are happening with Celtic. I've got a couple of messages that I did see whilst the two lads were on and obviously chatting with me. First one was Sean Boy earlier on. He says, I don't trust Brendan Rodgers. I think something is up. I can feel it in my water. Well, what do you mean by that, Sean? If you're still watching, that is. What do you mean by that you don't trust him? What do you mean? You don't trust the manager? Is that through the performance and obviously, what you're watching, or what is it what is it you don't trust? Let us know, mate. Seen another one there for John Clifford. He says, Brendan has tried to replace Greg Taylor. Has he, though? This is the thing, because the talk is, John, that he's trying to keep Greg Taylor. So, I think I know what you're meaning in terms of, we all know he's actively trying to bring Kieran Tierney back to the club. But is he not just trying to make the squad stronger? Because as I've told Ryan numerous times on here, I think it's an area of the pitch that we have lacked good competition for Greg. Greg Taylor's been a remarkable servant for the club, and I think that he's not had someone really pushing him. Now, we could say the same about the other side. A lot of fans are saying, Tony Ralston doesn't do that with Alistair Johnson. In fact, when Tony Ralston plays, a lot of fans see it that, the quality level drops off. But Greg Taylor's, he's playing at a high level. He's playing consistently for the team. So he's also played under a couple of managers now as well, which is making me think now it's not because Greg Taylor's a bad player. No, Ange Postecoglou played him, and now Brendan's playing him. Lennon signed him as well, so he's played under more than one manager. So I don't think Brendan's trying to replace him, because if anybody thinks, if Kieran Tierney signs tomorrow, just say after tonight, right? If anybody thinks that Kieran Tierney's going to come in and Greg Taylor won't play for Celtic again, then you're miles off it. Miles off it. I personally think that it's a squad game, and I think they'll be rotated. Look at the amount of games Celtic are playing. And I think that's where you'll see. But he won't, Ryan. He won't play less. He's not going to play less. Nobody thought Luke McCown would play for Celtic. A lot of our fans, when we signed him, saying, another boy is going to waste away. He's played a significant amount of games so far and been a massive contributor. So he's not going to play less, especially if Kieran Tierney's not fit to play. So Kieran Tierney coming in doesn't mean the end for Greg Taylor or Alex Fahey or anything else. I do think a decision's going to have to be made in terms of you can't keep the three of them, vying for one position. Kieran Tierney, no bones about it, is miles better than Greg Taylor. But as I said, it's a squad game. And he'll play. He'll certainly play. He'll play a lot more football than people think, that's for sure. And Kieran Tierney's not going to play every single game. No, not the way he did the first time. Kind of similar to Callum McGregor. Because in my opinion, I think that's what's burnt Kieran Tierney out slightly, with the amount of football he played at an early age in his development. So Kieran Tierney coming back, massive lift for the squad. Make no bones about that as well, by the way. Massive lift for the team. But he's not going to play every game. Greg Taylor will play. And the reason why I know Greg Taylor will play is because of our manager. Because I think Rodgers is the type of guy to double down on Greg Taylor now. And I've seen a load of things about Greg Taylor not wanting to sign a new deal. And well, how do you know that? How does anybody know Greg Taylor doesn't want to sign a new deal? Just because he's not done it. That doesn't mean he doesn't want to sign. Guy just got married in the summer and his missus is now pregnant. So he's got things to think about. It's not just going to jump in at the first offer and say, yeah, okay, there'll be room for negotiation. But no, I don't see Kieran Tierney will make Celtic a better team with him in it. But for me, personally, and this is just my opinion, that's definitely not the end of Greg Taylor. I'm going to play some audios, folks, in case anybody that's tuning in with us hasn't heard what we were chatting about. I'm going to play the one about Brendan talking about the fans not happy when Celtic play the ball and, when they're trying to cycle to start attacks. Here it's here.
Performance very good.
Straight away.
Yeah, well, that's what we want. We wanted to start well. And the challenge here at Celtic now is that, and that's why I have a big respect for this group of players, especially on a day like today, because when it was 0-0 for the first 20 minutes, we make a backward pass and the crowd get onto the team. Now that cannot happen. One, if you know about football, and two, if you can understand that when teams come here, they're going to make it really difficult. You can't turn up every single week and be 3-4-0 up in 20 minutes. Teams are well organised, teams are well set up. You have to work the game. So sometimes you have to play a backward pass to change the point of attack. We make a backward pass, and then we go on to the players. And that's why I was proud of the players. This is a point, I don't need the cheers when it's 3-0, and the support when it's 3 and 4-0 and 5-0. This team needs it. It's just the amount of games that they're playing and how we play. You only need to look at the facts and how this team plays to know they're an attacking team, a creative team that creates goals and scores goals. So when we decide to go back to change the point of attack, clap the players. Don't panic. Don't start getting onto them, because we're trying to get another attack. And the best example we have of that this season was against Club Brugge.
Yeah, so somehow it's been portrayed that Brendan was sitting there going off his head. That's a guy that's, if ever, this is how I see it, folks, right? If ever there was a voice of reason, a voice of clarity, with context, it's Brendan Rodgers. That's the way I see that. Like I say, it's not something that came, yesterday. In my opinion, I think it's an overspill from previously, maybe even last season as well, when he was almost a hated figure at spells of the season as well. We went in 1-0 down at Motherwell. Folk were saying that he used to have been sacked and everything else. So I think a lot of our fans, and there's still sections of our fans that are still doubting him as a manager. All the guy's doing is delivering success. I don't see any issue with Brendan's presser for yesterday. I seen a wee comment there from, I'm going to go back to it. Hold on a wee second. John Shirley. John says, "Oh, come on, JP. So you've never seen wee Kieran at his best with Glasgow Celtic? Then where have you been?" Good comment, mate. Yes, I have seen Kieran Tierney at his best with Glasgow Celtic. And that's why Kieran Tierney's no longer with Glasgow Celtic, because he was tremendous and he got a big move to Arsenal, mate. But my view on Kieran Tierney not playing every game is nothing to do with Kieran Tierney's ability. I don't know if you've picked up on what I was saying in terms of, I understand how football works. And I know the modern day game now is a squad game. And therefore, he's not going to play every game. Cal McGregor, people say he plays almost every game. He does. Phenomenal fitness, phenomenal. But he also plays in an area of the pitch where there's so much, so much focus, so much demand. It's the engine room of the team. That's slightly different, in my opinion, to a winger or a striker or a fullback or a goalkeeper or a defender. Or your goalkeepers, and then one of the main focal points of the team, don't get me wrong, but if he's not playing so well, he comes out. It's the same with defenders. If they don't play well, they come out. Liam Scales had a bad game at Ibrox. He's been took out of the team. Why? Probably because of the overspill with the fan reaction, and maybe even the fact that, it was time for Austin Trusty to come back in because he's been waiting. And once again, it's a squad game. So there's been games this season where Liam Scales has had to come in and play. Liam Scales was subbed on in a cup final against Rangers to make the team better. So I understand. I understand how football works, John. I understand it's a squad game, mate. And I understand that in order for Celtic to remain a strong unit, mate, then it's you need to build on that. You need to. So if a guy's not available in the squad, you need to have players who are ready and available to come in to do the job. Otherwise, you're going to have a drop off in quality. You know. Greg Taylor has that technical ability to come in and play the way that Rodgers, you know, has to play. But yeah, as I said, I understand how it goes, John. I understand how that works. GG, how you doing, pal? Hope you're well. You are super defensive of Rodgers tonight, JP. Has Brendan Rodgers sent you a Gucci belt? Stand up, let's see. He's no, mate. He actually sent me a pair of Tom Fords. So I'll not be making any slide tackles or anything like that on my aim, I'll tell you. The belters. Pride of place right into a safe. Can't show the bad boys after them. They part of it when I'm going a night out. But no, kidding aside, GG. I just think he's bang on, mate. Like I say, it's all down to voice of reason, clarity, context. And I look at football similar to the manager, you know. It's all about trust. It's all about what you're watching. And I mean, John was on there and the second caller. And how can you criticise this team, man? I mean, I know you can criticise certain days they have in terms of things that they're doing in the pitch. I call that nitpicking, you know. Overall, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know how anybody can find fault with us, you know. But yeah, I'll always try and defend the manager, mate, because he's never given me any reason not to. As the Celtic manager, when he's been here, so he's given us a lot to cheer about, a lot to sing about. Think about the days out we've had as Celtic fans. Think about what he's delivered in terms of trophies. Think about players that he's brought to us. Thinking, you know, guys that we're singing about. You know, so yeah, he's got every reason to be defended. And he's an elite football manager. I wanted him. This is the thing as well. I go back to GG. If you watched the podcast for long enough, you probably remember. Go back to when Ange was leaving, and I said to the lads on here, we need to go and get Brendan Rodgers. We need to go and ask a question. At the time, Brendan wasn't. So don't forget, we've had Brendan Rodgers twice now at this club. Twice. I think it was Dom or somebody in the chat earlier on. It says we wouldn't be having Brendan Rodgers here if he wasn't a Celtic fan, and I agree with that because I think he's a top manager. And yeah, a really top elite coach, and he's developing this group of players and giving them belief to play and think that you know, with the mindset that they can go and play at a higher level, which is why we're seeing the levels of the Champions League. Kaiser, how we doing, pal? Kaiser says, I don't think Brendan Rodgers was bang on, JP. Just saying, I think he was foolish, dividing the support, being pedantic, in my opinion. I think his references to us being a stupid support and not knowing the game was a slap. Yeah, I can understand your point of view, mate. I can understand you know, what you're thinking there. I'm not too sure of, you know, in Rodgers' points that he made of where he was wrong or what he said was wrong for myself, Kaiser. I understand where you're coming from, mate. I understand. But there are, the thing is as well, Kaiser, there are fans that maybe don't, you know, when they're watching the game, mate, they might not know why Celtic are cycling the ball. They might see, they might think Celtic are meant to play forward all the time, and they're not not trying to cycle the ball in that way. They're passing back to Casper and they're giving the ball to the centre halves. And so, in my opinion, Brendan was merely explaining, the way we play. I also thought that was a great insight if we flip it to the other way, because he also gives you an insight as in the way we play the game and what we try and do. Yeah, I would agree. Listen, Kaiser, I have said tonight, mate, that I think some of it has been overspill, mate. I think some of it has been something that he's been wanting to say for a while. I don't think it was all about yesterday. I was at the game yesterday, mate, and I understand where he was coming from, because it was frustrating being a Celtic fan, being at the game and hearing fans sigh in unison when Celtic were only just trying to start attacks. And, they're not robots, they're humans. They've got to try and break down Celtic's DNA is attacking football. But unfortunately, mate, they're not going to be able to do that in every single game. And it's not how football works. They'll not batter teams 4-5 now. And I think that's, I think Brendan's he's one of us, guys. I think that's where he's coming from as well. He's a Celtic fan as well. Yeah. So as I say, it's I think I don't think he's frustrated, because, like I say, he was calm and he was composed in that interview, and he always is. What happened on Thursday, I think he would have dealt with internally. He's always going to defend his players in person. Of course he is. He's not going to sit and lambast his players and start blaming things and pointing fingers. But yeah, I think it's a modern day now, Kaiser. I think that's managers seem to say things, and sets of fans pick up on it, and they think they maybe start overthinking what he's actually trying to say. And I'm seeing a couple of comments about Baz. Have I missed something? I'm too busy gabbing. I might have missed something. What's going on? Baz who? We've got two Barrys that represent this podcast, one being Barry Bannon, the other one being Big Barry McCandless. Was it any of them? What they saying? They've been naughty. Yeah. What's happening? Oh, right, okay. So one of the happy bunch. What was the comment? Type it into the comments for me. Don't say it, but just type it in. Type it in so I can see. Interesting. Whatever it was, I mean, what was it? What was it? We won the Beat Celtic Cup. Good on you, Baz. Hearts will beat us, Hibs will beat us, Aberdeen will beat us. Doesn't mean anything, mate. Doesn't mean anything. As I say, it doesn't mean a thing. It's what if a duck's back. It's oh, did he? Oh, very good, very good. He must know us. He must know us. He must know us as well. Good on you, boys. Good on you. But aye, fair enough. I mean, he's obviously still in the festivities of his day out on Thursday. Aye. This is what I was saying to Kaiser there. People lose inhibition of what's going on, and and unfortunately, you've got people like that out there. But it's one of those things. To to be fair, folks, I never even seen the comment. I'm that busy gabbing away and thinking about other things that's going on, and I'm ready to play my last audio of the night. So obviously, John Shirley had a wee go at me for calling the man that I called him a while ago on this podcast about wee Oxo, and I'm the same. I'm going to double down on Greg Taylor. I've got his back, don't worry. And obviously Brendan, obviously this is what he had to say. For anybody that didn't hear Brendan speaking about, the wee song that happened near the end of the game last night. Here it's here.
There was a few singing the name of Kieran Tierney at the end there.
Aye, total lack of respect.
Yeah.
Of course it is. Get Greg Taylor. He's been absolutely amazing at this club. How does he feel? He's playing, nearly breaks his nose, bleeding for the club, for the cause. But I'm more worried about the players that are here. It's not very respectful. You sing for another player, no matter what Kieran's history is. I don't like that.
But in terms of there's been a bit of news about him in the background, Kieran, is there anything you can add to that at that point in time? Or?
Nothing. There's lots of speculation, there's lots of names, but I won't add anything to it.
So there we are. I do not see any issue in what Brendan's done there, other than backing his own man. I don't see it. People are reading into this, again, in my opinion, too much. People think that Brendan's telling the Celtic fans not to sing about Kieran Tierney. I don't think that's the case, folks. I think what he's, take yourself out of it. Everybody that's watching just now, take yourself away from the Brendan comment there, right? Now, you're Greg Taylor, and you're standing on the pitch. You're giving everything. You've took a nasty bang to the face by giving everything to the team and trying to help the team get back to winning ways and everything else. You know, by the way, you're Greg Taylor, okay? So everybody here, I hope you are with me. You know that Greg Taylor, as Greg Taylor, you know that Kieran Tierney's a better player than you. You obviously know that there's a good chance Kieran Tierney's coming back to the club. So, I mean, Greg Taylor's not a silly lad, He probably knows, there's this footballing term, you're no first choice, you're no this. He will be rotated. Now, I know that because I know the way the modern day game works. But that doesn't help Greg in that moment. I don't think Brendan's telling the Celtic fans not to sing about Kieran Tierney. That's not what he's saying. What I think that, they're only singing that because they think he's just about to sign with us. Otherwise, that song doesn't take place yesterday, in my opinion. So I think they're only singing that because Kieran Tierney's possibly on his way back in this window. But there is every chance that's going to have an effect on Greg. Because if you're Greg and that happens to go, how are you going to feel as an individual? And that's what I was saying to Francis earlier. Nobody is taking that into consideration. Nobody. Everybody's looking at that and going, he's telling us not to sing about Kieran Tierney. How dare he? He shouldn't be doing that. That's not what he's doing. It's all about timing. Cast your minds back to the first derby Brendan took charge of in his first spell. Right? Luke Shanley interviewed him after the game when Moussa Dembele scored a hat-trick, and he said to him, Lee who? Talking about Lee Griffiths. And Brendan says to him, don't be disrespectful. This is a standard that our manager drives. It's not about one person. Team's not about one person. Because he mentioned about Lee Griffiths scoring the 40-odd goals the season before. And that's what Brendan says. Well, that's out the window because we can't have that. It's about a collective. Brendan's all about the collective. He's not about the guy that's getting the limelight. That's not what he's about. And people have tried to say that to him along the way in this second spell about Kyogo, and he scores great goals. And yeah, he does. But Brendan's reply to that was, yeah, but look at the guys that are giving them the service. No, don't just look at the guy that's scoring the goals. Look where the goals are coming from. So, for me, I don't have a problem with it. Because Brendan's only trying to be respectful to one individual. But it's about a collective. When Kieran Tierney comes back to Celtic, it's not about Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney's not going to be the main focal point in the team. Because Brendan won't have that. So, I get both sides of the coin. The Green Brigade are singing, the Celtic fans are singing about Kieran Tierney coming back because they love Kieran Tierney. Kieran Tierney's going to go down as a Celtic legend in both his spells. Because I firmly think Greg Taylor and Kieran Tierney will be Celtic's fullbacks come the end of this window, right? And I also think that Kieran Tierney will be back now as a second spell, ready to go, and so on and so on. So, in my opinion, I think Kieran Tierney, who is world class, by the way, world class, right, will go down as a Celtic legend. Now, I don't use that term quite loosely. I think you've got a lot of work to do in order to, to earn that label. But I do think Kieran Tierney will go down as a Celtic legend. But in that moment yesterday, you have got to understand, folks, where Brendan's coming from. Now, obviously now it looks like not a lot of people obviously understood that Greg Taylor took a bang to his face either. That's why he went down the tunnel. Nothing to do with what he heard. Or Brendan was then asked about, did you think it affected him? And the way Brendan answered it, he just said to the guy, well, what do you think? How would that affect you? And that's what I would ask to anybody. How do you think that would affect you in that moment? So, yeah. So, John Shirley. Well, JP, put you on the spot. You can if you want, mate. I told you that earlier on. Who would you play? Wee Oxo or a real position player left back Tierney? Who would I play? What do you mean, though? I would use both of them, John. Personally, I would be using both of them. In a lot of games, the fixture list is mental. We're playing every 3 days, for goodness sake. So I would play. I'd play both of them. But what a position to be in, folks! What a position to be in, to have two guys who are more than capable of coming in and holding his own. And by the way, Kieran Tierney makes Celtic better. Not just a strength, and not just that he makes Celtic better. He takes us up a level in that position. Greg Taylor can't do it all on his own. But it says to Ryan and Alan have spoken about it before on here. When Liam Scales and Greg Taylor, people have said about the left-hand side being targeted. That never happened yesterday. And Greg Taylor played. That never happened yesterday. Why? Because Austin Trusty was there. Austin Trusty has that killer pace that, in my opinion, Liam Scales lacks. And he gives you that cushion of having that calmness as well. And he's got a nice touch as well. So it's not just necessarily Greg Taylor, but I also love the fact that Brendan talks about Greg Taylor when it goes to the Champions League. You know, people throw Greg Taylor and he's not good enough for Europe. Well, you could add about 100 players for that. And I want to touch on, folks, there's been people saying about the level Celtic are not playing at, and how hard do you think it is to sustain the high level that we saw earlier in the season every 3 days? Not just that as well, you're rotating the squad. So I'll give you an example. Engels, McGregor and McCown played yesterday. On Wednesday, it might be McGregor, Hatate and Bernardo. That's a complete change of formula, complete change of personnel and everything else. So you need to look at that and understand why the levels might not be the same consistently, but the end goal is the consistency in it, that we win more games than we don't. So, but I mean, we've only lost 1 game this season. What's that? 16 clean sheets out of 19 games or something for Casper. People say our defence is bad. I don't know. It's a good record, folks. Yeah. Kill Paul. Yeah, mate. McCown. Yeah, listen, he's been an unbelievable find to bring him in. A lot of people doubted him. A lot of people says it. Didn't know if he could play at the level. But anytime he's came in, he's done well. I've seen a bit of criticism going his way on Thursday when Rangers break down the pitch and they end up scoring their 3rd goal off it. They're saying he chucked it and he wasn't giving his all. But again, Thursday was just one of those games, folks, where nothing was going right for us. But we dusted ourselves down and we go again. And sometimes, folks, I think it's good to hit the reset button and go again. Remember back to Brennan's first time we done it. James, good night, mate. Good night, pal. Take care. Brennan's first spell, we go to Tynecastle now. We were on a run of mental, but was it 64 games or something? We were unbeaten in. It's that's a phenomenal run. I mean, that itself is farcical. If you go anywhere else, somebody that's non-football related and doesn't really watch football and doesn't, never going to believe you if you tell them that Celtic went on a run of 64 games winning. Winning's the hardest thing in football, folks. It's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do, man. And we've made it look easy for numbers of years now. We go to Tynecastle and Hearts beat us 4-0. Nobody seen that coming at the time. No one. And at the time, the team was littered with Kieran Tierney, Scott Browns, Callum McGregor's, Dedrick Boyata, Stuart Armstrong, Scott Sinclair's, Musa Dembele's, all that jazz. They were all there. And Odson Edwards and all these guys, they were all in that team. Simunovic, all that. And yeah, it's pretty remarkable, but sometimes it's good to hit that reset button and go again. Why? Because it allows freshness to come into players' minds, and it channels a different thought process for individuals. Let us know in the comments, folks, what you're linking in the season. Before I finish up, I'm ready to go because I've been on long enough now, so I'm ready to head off. Liz Donnelly, thanks for your comment, pal. Okay, guys, before you all go, hit the like button. Please do, guys. It's totally free. So one with a wee thumbs up away. Just go and do that if you can. That would be much appreciated. We've got 72 watching me just now. If every one of you guys could hit that like button. Quality. Absolute quality. Yeah, they are all chasing us. Even the prawns sandwich big red. Yeah, 100%. Paul Maguire, good night. JP, hail. Cheers, Paul. Thank you very much. John Clifford, well done tonight, JP. Thanks, John. Cheers. Thanks for your comments earlier as well, mate. I seen your wee comment, mate. I wasn't dinging it. Obviously, there was too much going on, but I'm going to bring it up just now before I finish. We need a song for Yang. I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. I'm going to try and have a word with Ryan, see if we can get some lyrics wrote down for that man and get him a song. John, you were at the game, I believe, yesterday. Yang came on. He's got to admit, man, he looks a lot brighter than Louis Palmer for some reason now. I just think Yang, when he comes on the pitch, he always, for me, he just looks dead bright. He's full of energy and he's eager. And I think he's one of those players, John, that Brendan would be very eager to work with, because I think the boy's eager to learn, and you put him in beside good players, and I think you will. You maybe see a different outcome over a period of time. Still a young lad as well. I think he's 20, just turned 21. He's still got plenty of time. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, Yang. Before he starts jumping on me and having a go at me the way he's did with Brendan. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, and but I certainly think he's out of the two. Between him and Palmer, I've seen more of Yang than I have of Palmer, to make me think that out of the two, the one I think heading for the door's Louis Palmer. There we go. Lovely wee messages coming in tonight. Night. God bless all. Hail. Night, Ange, my pal. There we go. Isn't that lovely? They're away to share a wee box at after 8s. Well, it's after 10 here, but you know what I mean. Chill, pal. Yeah, I get your point of view, mate. I don't think it's necessarily to do with anything to do with ability level. Just afraid he's one of those guys. It's just he's not able to fit into what it is we're trying to do here. He's a good player. He's got some ability. You see that when he's playing with Honduras and obviously before he came to Celtic, but he's been under par, should I say, for Celtic. I don't think he's a poor player. He's just not what we need right now. And some interesting lyrics coming in for a potential Yang song. Superb. Guys, have everybody liked tonight's episode, the wee thumbs up? Please tell me you have, because it'll look good for us. If you have just joined us, I do apologise, I'm just about to finish. If you are tuning in for the first time, please hit that like button and the subscribe. And it's totally free. We don't charge anyone to come and join us. And that's the important thing, coming and join us and being part of the Celtic Unrestricted View family. We're getting some interesting comments about Yang for Ange M tonight, saying do a Yang song to a Bay City Rollers tune. I'm pretty sure we can sort something out, definitely. Kaiser, do this one before I go. On the season so far, it's been amazing, JP. Long may it continue. 2 blips where we just didn't show up, Dortmund and Snake Mountain. Other than that, I have 0 complaints. Yeah, I think we could all agree, mate. Every now and again, this team are allowed a wee day off now and again. And I don't mean out to go for meals or go socialising into pubs and stuff. I think even on the pitch, the level of games that we're playing and everything else, it's only normal that they're going to have some sort of drop off from now and again. But I think then, like I says, Brendan talks about stepping up to a mountain and doing it step by step. You're not just going to get to the top on your own with a suit and dicky bow on. It's going to take a bit of time. You're going to take bumps in the road. You're going to have to work at it and do here and reset there and go again there. So it's a long season, especially when you add in as well to Europe. You add in the Champions League as well, and that, you know, anybody that knows the game well enough, you know that, you know, the level in there is just, it's far higher than anything we face domestically. So it's amazing. But listen, thank you very much, everyone, for your comments. Thank you very much tonight for my two callers, John M and Francis. Gigi, if you're still watching, pal, I seen your comment earlier as well when we were chatting away regarding a swearing ban. We don't have a swearing ban on here. What we ask is you know, if you're calling in, it's fine. Swear words are part of life and whatever else, but if it's every second word, mate, then no, it's probably not an idea for you to do that. But if it's, you know, if you're going to let something, you needing to be saying it, as long as you do it in a, how can you say a swear word in a respectable way? But what we don't want is, we don't want anything silly like sectarian chants or anything derogatory, because unfortunately YouTube flagged that up. No, Jordo, I'm afraid you can't say stuff like that, pal. Probably best you just comment in, pal, and no phoning in the dialing. But aye. But all we ask is you come in and you know, be mindful of, there's also people watching us as well, so that's all we ask. But if you need to swear, then fine. I mean, all of us have swore numerous of times. It's not something that you can, and it's not something you can avoid. But if it's every second word, then no, I'm afraid we can't be having that. Yeah, Chill, we did make swearing funny, he did, aye, but unfortunately none of us are Billy Connolly, mate. So I'm not swallowing that one. But yeah, listen, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time with us tonight. I'm sorry if I've not been able to get everybody's comments up. I did do my best to. Some I've even stored and come back to after my callers in as well. So, Big Alan, away tonight, he was on East End Community Radio. Ryan's on the day job, so that's why I was on myself. We'll be back on Wednesday, guys, for the pre-match build-up. We'll be doing a live Wednesday morning for the pre-match build-up to the Dundee United game at Celtic Park on Wednesday. But for the time being, folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Take care, hail, and we'll see you again on Wednesday. Bye-bye, guys.